We are not going to talk about scripts today. We are not going to talk about selling more sets. We're not going to talk about Calvin's flatware pitch. Love you, Calvin. We're not going to talk about the kind of the nuts and the bolts of the business and the things that are obviously amazing that we all have to work on and practice and continue to hone our crafts. I'm not saying those things aren't important. They are so important to all of us. You know, work more events. That's important. Today, what we're kind of going to talk about is performance psychology. Performance psychology, but when I was doing some digging in my thoughts and trying to decide what I'm going to share with you guys, it's a lot of background noise there. It kind of I kind of kept reminding myself that I should bring back the message from 2.5 years ago at Year End Banquet. And the title of that message was Better Than the Best. And when I think about this team, when I think about our events team that works Canton and the Fort Worth Stock Show, and yeah, we get each of us a slice of the pie of the State Fair of Texas, but I'm talking the vintage market days. I'm talking the sweat your balls off. That's right, at Granbury Fest. Like, I've done it. I have worked those shows. And when Roger worked Vintage Market Days this weekend, it took me back to Main Street Fest with Carlos. Anybody remember Carlos? And I was sweating in the middle of June in Texas and thinking, what am I doing with my life right now? Oh my God. It's really hard to be in an optimum mindset when you're thinking, why am I here? Like, what is the point? No one's buying anything. Hell, no one's even here. Like we've all been there. We've all experienced those shows, those events. Customer after customer saying no, hem hawing. My last customer I talked to today was 30 minutes of like me handling every objection known to man. He said he was at an 8 and he still walked away. So it happens to all of us. And today what I really just want to talk about is performance psychology. And it comes back to that message of better than the best, because that is who I envision for this team. So first, I want to start off with, I'm going to try to screen share. And if the screen sharing doesn't work, I have a backup plan. I just want to share with you guys some thoughts of how I see this business and myself and you guys. I wrote these down, so excuse me if I read a little bit. I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for the CSP opportunity. I'm really thankful for 50%. Some people like to talk about how we don't really make 50% after expenses. Well, most sales companies pay you 2%, so be ye thankful. I'm thankful for Mrs. Jones. I'm thankful for this life that I've built. Because of Vector and Cutco and this opportunity, I've been able to create an amazing lifestyle, as all of you have. A lifestyle that a lot of other people that probably surround you that aren't in our network, aren't in our circle, some you may have graduated with, some I graduated with, they have yet to experience. I mean, Roger and I have someone who's been coaching us, like relationship stuff. And he's like, when are y'all ever home? Like, all you do is vacation. Yeah, it's kind of awesome. You know, we love vacationing together. I'm thankful for all of that. And I want you guys today, as I'm talking about this, think about your roots and think about what you're thankful for. You know, over the last, I'd say 2 to 3 years, it really started during the pandemic. The pandemic is where I saw a shift in myself and in my business, where I was no longer a sales rep for Cutco. People ask me, what do you do for a living? And I don't say I sell knives. I run my own business. I'm at the bar in an airport and someone asks me what I do for a living. Oh, I own my own company. That's my answer now. I am not a sales rep for Cutco. I run my own business. I own my own company. And that's the truth. I've slowly grown to realize that the opportunities that we have in this world are limited, and very, very few people ever live them at the top peak performance, maximum potential. Most people live most of their lives in averagedom. I just made that word up, mediocrity, and they never fully know what they're capable of. When I think about my journey with Vector, when I started then and now, I challenge all of you today to think about your roots and where you were, where you've been in the middle, where you are today, and where you plan to go. So I'm going to try to share my screen here. And we're going to see if it works. Hey, Brian, he walked out of the room. It says host disabled, participant screen sharing. If you could activate that, if it's possible.
Yep. No, I got you. Sarah was chasing the dog.
Yeah, you're fine. There's a couple pictures, things that I want to talk through, and I'm going to give you guys a list. So if you're taking notes, it looked like Jeff maybe was. You know, I'm going to give you some key points, and it's not about sell more homemakers, but if you do the things I teach today, you will sell more homemakers. You will grow. You'll continue to create passive income with this business, so on and so forth. Okay, let's see if this works. Share screen, share. Please, everybody, thumbs up if you can see. Come on.
Yes, we can see, by the way.
See that? Awesome. I was clicking the wrong button. Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. So we're going to try to just go through this. So I gave a message a few years ago. It's better than the best. I'm going to blitz through it with you guys. It won't take the full time because I kind of took my notes from that event and I crossed out the not necessary stuff, and we're going to hit just the high points. I'm going to tell you guys about the beginning. A lot of you know that my dad's a Marine. Most of you do not know that my mother is a nurse. She's been a nurse of 25 years, and that is where I get my people love. That's how I love on customers. That's how I can talk to a brick wall. My mother taught me to love people and treat people kindly. That is what I learned from her. But my dad gave me my tenacity. He gave me my no bullshit attitude. He gave me my, you do your absolute best. No matter what you're doing, you do your absolute best. So that's my dad right there, actually. There's a picture of him. He does not look like that anymore. But that was when he was in the Marine Corps. I don't know if we look alike at all. I don't know if you guys can see a resemblance, but that was my dad when he was in the Marine Corps. He was in there for 6 years. And you may have heard that talk years ago where an admiral gave a keynote message at the University of Texas. And the name of the message was, if you want to be successful, start by making your bed. Can I get a show of hands if anybody's ever seen that YouTube video? If you want to be successful, start by making your bed. Okay, well, I saw that video. This is not exactly that talk, but I do have to give my dad and my mom credit where they're due, because they raised me to, number one, love people, and number two, do your best. So I have to tell you guys something. If you've ever worked with me in a booth, I've probably pissed you off. And the reason I've probably pissed you off is because of my OCD, desire for perfection. No, it can't be that way. It's got to be this way. And for that, I say, unfortunately, I can't apologize. And the reason I can't apologize is because it was ingrained in me from birth. I just kind of want to tell you guys, Dad, if I came home without making my bed, mattress was turned up sideways, sheets were ripped off the bed, and you were sweating briquettes or shitting bricks at school all day because you thought you were going to get a belt whooping when you got home from Marine Dad. He was tough. He was so tough. He was so strict on us. Some of you may or may not know this. When I was in high school, I had a curfew. Well, that's not abnormal. But when I was in college, when I was a freshman and sophomore in college, I had to be home on weeknights at 9 p.m. and I had to be home on weekends at 11 p.m. That was the type of structure that I grew up in. Now, this is not a talk about, oh, well, Chelsea grew up with a Marine dad. No wonder she's so organized, and no wonder she's just so go all the time and do your best. I'm not telling you guys that you need to do that. And I'm not telling you that you should have a Marine dad. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is where it's come from. So maybe you just understand me a little bit better. And it's why I am the way that I am. We can all learn things from each other. You know, I've learned from every single one of you on this team. And one thing that I've just done from the beginning is I listened to what Dad taught. And that was be your best. When it comes to performance psychology, the biggest issue that all of us have is we compare ourselves to other people on this team. I've done it. I've been in the booth at the State Fair of Texas on the verge of tears because Calvin sold 3 homemakers in a row. And I got him and Hod back to back. People wouldn't buy, sold a galley. And then that freaking galley returned 3 weeks later. I had a $1,400 day last year at the State Fair of Texas, and I was truly on the verge of tears. It happens to all of us, but the reality is I know I did my best. In this business, it's important to remember where you're from. I'm obviously from Alabama. That's my roots. That's where I get my core. That is where I'm so proud to say that I'm from. Wherever you're from, you need to share that with your customers. Be a real human being. Don't just try to go into a script and tell customers why they need to buy Cutco. Make sure they know at least a tidbit about you. and why you do what you do, why it means so much to you. I will go as far as to say, though, that today I'm proud to say that I'm Bama raised, but Texas to stay. I have no intentions of ever leaving. I plan on being here long term, and you're basically going to have to kick me off the team or kick me out to get rid of me. My heart is in Texas. Roger's entire family's in Texas. I'm not going anywhere from now on. So this is where I plan to stay. Here's where we're going to go. I'm going to give you guys a quick list. Today, if you want to be a peak performer, you want to do well in this business, you want to act like a CEO, don't forget the scripts, but actually apply some life principles. So here's what we're going to do. If you want to be your best, every single person on this team, I challenge you for the rest of this year. If you look at the results that you've had so far this year and it's not been your best, you know you could have done better. If you want to be your best, you got to start by making your bed. Number one, every single day. No questions, if and or buts about it. I am not your parent. That is not what I'm telling you to do, and that's not why I'm telling you to do it. But I challenge you, if you make your bed every single morning, you will stand back and be proud that you completed the first task of the day. And that is what my dad was trying to teach me. You get out of the bed, you clean up that mess, you put your toys away, and you go to work. Then when you come home at the end of the day, guys, there's just something about jumping in a well-made bed. There's something about turning the bed down every night that just feels clean, almost feels like you're in a hotel. It makes you proud of what you did that day. It makes you proud of what you started. The point is, if you want to be your best, start by making your bed, because it's all about how you start, not just about how you finish. You want to know how I'm so successful? Sometimes, not sometimes, excuse me. I was working with Maria Stewart. When I'm at Airbnbs and I'm at hotels, I make my bed. So if you want to be your best, everyone on this team, start by making your bed. Next thing, if you want to be your best, if you want to have peak performance, act like a CEO, do all of those things, I'm going to challenge and encourage each and every one of you to look people in the eye. Sometimes you have to have tough conversations. That may be with a member on this team. Lord knows Brian's had to have tough conversations with a lot of us. But I can guarantee Brian's not going to look down at the floor and wring his hands and nervously have those tough conversations with each of us when they need to happen. He's going to look you in the eye. My dad and my mom taught me, when you're talking to anyone, any human being, and I challenge all of you to try this with your customers, look them in the eye, look into their soul, see where they're at. Try to acknowledge where these people are at in their brain and their psychology. They're talking to you, they're giving you objections, but are you actually looking them in the eye? Are you talking to a person and looking in the eye? Standing tall, shoulders back. They taught me that in pageants when I was a kid. I didn't really learn that from my dad, but shoulders back. Are you slumping over at the booth looking like a slob? Are you? When you shake hands, show of hands real quick on here. Have you ever shook a customer's hand and they shook your hand and it was a limp noodle? I can't stand that shit. Can't stand that shit. When you, who is in charge, you are the CEO at your booth and you shake someone's hand, you shake it firmly, not too tight, but you shake it firmly. That shows people that you respect them, and they in turn respect you. They see you as someone who's in charge, and they see you as someone who is strong. And that's the role you want to play if you want to be your best. When you build a business, looking people in the eye, shoulders back, standing tall, shaking hands firmly, people will respect you. They also take you more authentically. I've worked with people on this team who are very distracted at the booth. They're half-assing a pitch. Today, we're not going over scripts, but I do challenge and encourage every single person on this call, every single interaction, give that customer everything you've got. And you want to be your best, start with looking them in the eye. Next one, if you want to be your best, you got to take some risks. You got to take some risks. We're not there yet. Sorry. You want to be your best, take some damn risks. I feel like this team has only gone as far as we've gone because sometimes we play it safe. You know, sometimes we just work the same show we've worked every year because it's in our schedule, not really looking at the stats and saying, oh, that's probably not the best use of my time. I should probably go work this show and free that show up for our new members, and then we all sell more, right? Or maybe we're just looking at the stats, okay, and kind of half assing the show because we think it's only a 3K show or a 5K show. What would happen if we went into the mentality of taking the risk of putting up extra signs, extra marketing, asking promoters if you're allowed to send an email in advance, like asking if you can get, you know, something put at the ticket booth. Everybody that walks in the gate gets a little card that drives them to the Cutco booth. What if we asked the hard questions? What if we took a risk and they said no? Most of what I sell, guys, most of what I sell is because I ask the questions that people aren't willing to ask because they already think the answer is no. I get a lot of no's. I take a lot of risks. I fall down and I get back up again. You know, I think about just personal life, not even business. If you're going to take some risks, leaving Memphis, Tennessee and moving to Dallas, some may argue that that seemed really easy. That was not an easy decision. That was the most exciting but scariest day of my life. Packing up a 3-bedroom house. Maria Stewart helped me. And getting in a U-Haul, dragging my car behind it with my 2 cats and their litter box in the floorboard, and driving 4 states over, driving a 26-foot U-Haul. I was scared shitless. Like, I was so scared because I didn't know if I was going to move to this big city, 7 million people in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I was going to fall flat on my butt and not be good enough. I thought it, but I took the risk. Is there something in Cutco, another program that you've been wanting to jump into? Is there an event you'd really like to get invited to, but you've got to go out of your way to take the risk to ask to do it? Take the damn risk. Ask. And if something happens, great. If nothing happens, ask again. There is one realtor event in Dallas, Fort Worth that is my #1 realtor event. And in one day, I've sold, the most I've ever sold is 32,000 in one day. And they said that I couldn't go to that event the first 2 years I asked. They said no twice. And then finally I reframed it, asked again, took a risk, and now that's my best event all year long. I mean, that's a third of what I sell in the State Fair of Texas in how many days? 10 to 15 days. I sell a third of that in one day. You got to take the risks, and you got to be willing to accept no if sometimes no is the answer, but it doesn't mean it's always the answer. All right, here's the next one. If you want to be your best, life lessons, peak performance, let's go. If you want to be your best, you got to look at the size of your heart and the size of all of your colleagues' hearts, every single person on this call, not the size of their trophies. Brian, I appreciate the accolades, man. I mean, that's cool. But I didn't even post anything really about the 5 million. I think somebody posted it on GroupMe. I'm at the point now where Roger's like, post more, inspire people. And I'm like, yo, I'm busy over here. I ain't got time to post. That's not true. I do have time to post, but the reality is this. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in focusing on, oh, look at me, look what I've done. All I care about is that you're kind and that you're making a difference in people's lives. Are you kind and are you making a difference in people's lives? Is that what we're doing every day? Or are you just setting up a Cutco booth, pitching a couple products, hoping you get an easy one and they walk up and it was a walk up Siggy? Like, are we real? Is that our job? Well, yeah, that's our job. But like, is that your mission? Like, is that what you're here to do? I don't know about you guys, but that just seems really unfulfilling to me. And it just seems really like, okay, Cutco's great. The knives are really good. Most people know it's great. They either want it or they don't. So what? I set up a booth, I tear it down. That's not the part of the job that I love. So where do I get the fulfillment from? Looking at people's hearts and looking at my heart and knowing that I am giving this, that my soul is tied into everything I'm doing. If that's in alignment, then it doesn't matter who wins a damn silver cup. And that was this. You know, I don't, maybe you guys know this, maybe you don't, but this will possibly be the 5th year in a row I have been second place to Deanna Scortino. 5th year in a row. Nobody remembers who was second. Like, let's be honest, roll tide, whatever. But the reality is Deanna is one of my best friends. You know, I surround myself with people that are better than me all the time because I love learning from her. I'm actually flying to Puerto Rico with her during this push. I don't recommend everybody doing that. Don't just go on vacation during the push, but sell a lot, then go on vacation. Sell enough in the time you're working, not this talk. Deanna and Chuck challenge me all the time. Like, Chelsea, when are you going to win the Silver Cup? When are you going to do this? We want you to win it. And I'm like, whenever you slow the frick down, Deanna, that's when I'm going to win a Silver Cup, apparently, because every year I'm about 100 grand behind her. It's been every year. And the reality is Deanna's not going to slow down. And she challenged me. She says, why would I slow down to help you win? That wouldn't make you feel good. Don't you want me to just perform? And you perform and you sit back and know that you got a Silver Cup. I did my best. You did your best. And that's how it fell. And I went, damn, you're right. You're absolutely right. Are you looking at people's hearts? This was a text message between me and Sean Henry, one of my really good friends. And I was feeling really bad for myself towards the end of the year, a couple years ago, because I sold 700 and Deanna sold 800. Nothing against Deanna. Love her. She's my sister. But I was just like, damn, I can never catch her. I'm always on her heels. And these were the texts. I'll just let you guys read them. Sean, what I will give him a testament of is Sean doesn't look at how much Chelsea sells. Sean is the one that will check me when I'm losing the heart. If you guys want to do your best and you want to see how successful you can really be in this company, don't lose the heart. Make sure you're focused on the heart of your business, not the trophies of your business. Thumbs up if everybody's got it. All right. If you want to do your best, you got to hustle. If you want to do your best, you got to hustle and you got to hustle hard. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not always fun. It is not always fun working hard. Cars beeping at me. There we go. Turn the AC on. It's super hot in here. There we go. Sometimes the hustle and hard part is not the fun part. But the reality is we have hustle periods. In this business, it's not like you have to hustle 365 days a year. You know, this push, for an example for me, SC1, it's what, 2 weeks long, Brian? I'm working really hard, 10 days of it, and then I'm taking 5 days off at the end, and I'll see you guys at the conference. So hustle when you're hustling and hustle hard. You know, I love all of you, but some of you folks is lazy sometimes. I'll say it. I'll just say it. Some of you folks is lazy sometimes. Like, I'm like, you slept until when? Holy shit. Half the day is gone. Might as well just drink a pina colada and call it over till tomorrow. Like, whatever. If you want to do your best, you really got to hustle and decide when those days are going to be. Okay. I've got 2 more and we're done. If you want to be your best, when you mess up, own it. If you want to be your best, when you mess up, you got to own it. Here's a book recommendation for all of you. You got to read this. I don't read a lot of books, but I've read this one. This one I read about 5 years ago. I read it. It's called Extreme Ownership. Jocko Willink, he was a U.S. Navy SEAL. And what he talks about in this book is all of us are imperfect and we're all going to drop the ball. But the real top performers, the real successful people are the ones who acknowledge it when they mess up, they apologize, and they make it right. If you want to be your best, read this book. And when you mess up, actually own it. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you go, well, I'm sorry I made you feel that way, customer, that's not an apology. If you mess up, own it. It's about them, yes, but you have to acknowledge where you can grow and acknowledge where you had a leaky or a leaky knob or a loose screw. Acknowledge where you can tighten things. There was a situation a couple years ago where I have a top client. She's actually my number 3 client, realtor of all time now. She's spent about 14,000 total, and I messed up. I shipped the product to the wrong address. Then it went to my assistant, and she was supposed to make it right and fix this mess up of mine, and my assistant messed it up. Then it went to the engraver when they were re-engraving a new order, and the engraver messed it up. Boy, did I think I had lost a client forever. I called the customer. I authentically looked her in the eye on FaceTime. I was vulnerable. I was authentic. I used my heart, and I said, I messed up. My assistant messed up, and the engraver messed up. And there's probably a lot of people in this world that would blame it on the engraver and blame it on their assistant, when in reality, Miss Jones, those people are an extension of me. I am your bridge to a finished product. So when they mess up, it's my fault. And I am so sorry. So here's what I want to do to fix it, if you will give me the opportunity. Is that how you're responding when you misengrave a customer's product? Is that how you're responding when you sent the wrong thing or you ordered the customer the wrong thing? Like, are you actually apologizing and telling them, I messed up, I am so sorry, but here's what I'm going to do to make it right, if you'll give me the chance? You'd be shocked how many people will give you that chance. And I'm going to finish with one last, if you want to be your best. You want to perform at the top level, run your business like a CEO. If you want to be your best, you got to step up when times are tough. And I'm going to give a little bit of tough love to this group. When the pandemic happened, I know we did a lot of service events, but a lot of us took the easy road and we chilled. When the going gets tough, when times get tough, that is when it's most important that you do your best and you don't just coast. And Roger is very open with all of this group, so I'll just be real vulnerable here and finish. When Roger got sick a few years ago and he missed some state fair shifts, and I was an emotional wreck because I didn't know what was happening to my person. He was sick. He was not well. He was not the guy that was my best friend and my fiance that I said yes to. There was a lot of things that were just weird and tough, and absolutely what I call one of the hardest years of my life. But sometimes when other people are around you, like when the times are the toughest, that is when it's the most important that you step up. When you look at your comrades that are not doing well in a booth and they're having a shitty sales day, are you actually building them up and telling them to go get the next one? Or are you just sitting back and being glad that that's not you? Are you just coasting in your own easy ones that walked up? Or are you actually building people up? Times are tough, helping them grow. You know, I think back to when Roger got sick. That was not easy on him, and he needed me. But I don't know if I've ever told any of you guys this, and I actually maybe haven't even said these exact words, but he's listening. The reality is I needed him, and I needed that situation. I needed to go through that chapter because I learned so much about myself and about what it means to still do your best, even when it's absolutely impossible seeming. So do you have something going on in your life, in your family, in your business, in your church? Not in that order. Let me say church first. Is there something going on that you just don't know the solution to, and it's really tough right now? Well, that's more the reason that you've got to step up. You've got to step up. You've got to do your best, because if you don't, who else is going to do it? Ultimately, guys, ever since the pandemic, and it was tough on all of us, that is really truly when my mindset started shifting of, I don't want to just sell Cutco. I am not just a sales rep. I want to be someone who does the tasks that I have for my day. I do them well. I don't just do them. I want to respect everyone. I want to take risks, and then I want to take some more. I want to measure people and myself by the size of their heart, not by the size of CPO that they're adding to the team. I want to measure them by the size of how they treat others, not just a trophy that they've got on the shelf. I want to work hard. I want to lay my head down on a pillow every night and be proud that I did the thing that day, whether the sales happened or not. Did I do my best? Did I actually give it my all? Because that way I can lay my head down on a pillow, and I'll tell you what, you might even come home to a really nice made bed. And when you lay your head down on the pillow, you wake up the next day and it's easier all over again. That's what I've got for you guys.
Bam. So I'll say that's so great, and that's just so authentically you, and just incredibly thought out and well delivered. Can I ask you just like one follow-up question?
Sure.
So one of the things that is so, and maybe it's just a theme for me I have in my head today, but one of the things that's just so important when I watch the high performers, people that are going like you, when I watch Bert make a big jump in the last couple of years, when I watch things like that, it's just learning how to compartmentalize and deal with and contextualize just sort of that failure and not failure. That's definitely not the right way to put it. But when things don't go right, and you definitely really touched on that in your message, like you led on that with Deanna and with some of the challenges and things you dealt with. But in the moment, like how do you feel you sort of pull that out? Like what are your coping strategies, or when you feel like, how do you identify that you're in that state where it's hard to be productive at this point because you're frustrated or you're discouraged? You know, how do you either identify that or pull yourself out? I think big picture macro, you really laid that out beautifully. But what do you do in the moment when it's 150 on a Saturday and you still have half this show in front of you, or you're in the middle of a push and it's not going right? I don't know if you have any other just follow-up thoughts with that. I'd love to hear anything specific you have though.
Short answer, a lot of wine.
Yes, way, Rose. Hey,
you want authenticity? I drink a lot of wine. No, Roger saw me in a very, very emotional. I was emotional, not logical. I was emotional, I was reactional, right? And I do try really hard. I mean, you guys see how much I sell. I try really hard to not let those days happen. But everyone in this group has probably seen those moments. We've all had those moments where we're just frustrated as heck. It's 150 degrees outside. Why am I here? I'm in the booth in Germany with Sean, and no kidding, there was a day in the UK last month where Sean had like a 7K day, and it was just like turn after turn that was his ultimate Siggy, flatware, just the easy ones. And I'm over here pulling teeth just to try to get him to buy a 5-piece. Please, you just want to buy something? That'd be great. Awesome. In that moment, I can't say that I get it right every time because I do not. But what I do find helps is I surround myself with really high thinking people. One of those people is my husband. He's the one that tells me to quit being a little B word and get over it and go do it next time. Go do it better the next day. Right. So I'd say the first thing I could say is you have to humble yourself enough to at least be open and honest with your emotions, and then ask the high level people that you need to surround yourself with, what could I be doing better? And for me, asking that question, it was all mindset, had nothing to do with my skill level in that situation. There wasn't really anything I could change. And I was doing everything. I was doing my best. So having someone like Roger and like Sean, finally, they both put their foot down in the UK after a couple of days of me being a little B word. And they said, this is not okay. Let it go. Let it go. Tomorrow's a new day. And then I go in the next day and I have a 5K day. And then the next day I have a 6K day. And I'm like, they're right. I just need to let it go. So for me, that would be the answer. It's not really wine. It's wine does help a bad day. It also helps a good day. But it's surround yourself with really good people and humble yourself enough to ask others, what could you be doing better? How could I be seeing this differently? Am I losing it here? Am I losing my marbles? I need you to hold me accountable, because the reality is I'm messing up right now. Does that answer it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think that's like the realest and deepest possible answer is just trusting other people and empowering people to sort of speak into your experience, and people that you know love you, and you're coming from that space. So I love
Yeah.
that. Well, Chelsea, that was awesome. What a great and different and surprising message. And when you say you're being a little B word, I'm just laughing because I think I found where our next trip should be, guys. And it's really a way. It's not a good use of money. Just so I know, it's a waste of money. But I still think we have to do it just so we can send a few postcards from there. And it came to my attention today that's a place. There's a place, and it's called Bitch Lake. And
Nice.
uh, I guess maybe bitch is like an Indian word or something, but I saw someone say that, and I was like, oh, that's. I thought they were joking about Bitch Lake, and it's like, no, there's a tiny little lake there. It's like when you go to that place in Bahamas called Hell, and you just get a shirt there. So yeah. So Brett, that might be our next task, working on next year's trip to Bitch Lake. I bet we can hunt potatoes, and I don't know what they have there.
I say we screenshot that, or we just all, now when any of us in the booth is being a little B word, you're like, hey, there's a place for people like you, you know?
How
Go
great
take
is
a
that?
night boat on Bitch Lake.
Night boat. I love it. Chelsea, thank you so much. We're so much better because we have you, and we love you, and we respect you both.
I love all of you too. Excited to spend some time with everybody on the lake.
Hell yeah. The lake's gonna be so much fun, guys. I can't wait.